The BBC has learnt that there has been a significant increase in reports of health incidents affecting US spies and diplomats in recent months. Originally known as Havana syndrome, officials say the condition has now spread beyond Cuba to every continent. The symptoms include hearing strange sounds and a feeling of heat or pressure. With more, here's our security correspondent, Gordon Carrera.
In 2015, the US reopened its embassy in Cuba as relations between the countries were restored. But then something happened. Diplomats and spies began to hear sounds and fall ill with a mysterious illness that people struggled to explain, what became known as Havana syndrome.
The Trump administration announced Friday that it is pulling more than half of its staff out of the American embassy in Havana.
But it was not just Havana. On a trip to Moscow a year later, senior CIA officer Mark Polymeropoulos says he suffered similar symptoms.
It is real. We have to get our people health care, and then we have to find out who's doing this, because as I've always contended, this is an act of war against U.S. officials.
Her flight from Singapore to Vietnam was delayed for several hours because at least one U.S. diplomat had to be medevaced from Hanoi over the weekend.
But some have questioned whether the syndrome is real, suggesting that the stress caused what's called a psychogenic illness of the mind, which is now spreading.
When you see mass psychogenic illness, there's usually some stressful situation, underlying situation. And of course, in the case of Cuba, and the embassy employees, particularly the CIA agents, they certainly were in a stressful situation.
In the last year, new evidence has emerged. That led a panel of scientists sponsored by the State Department to conclude that pulsed microwaves were most likely responsible in at least some of the cases.
For many of these people, real injury, real neurologic injury took place. It took place through a mechanism that we cannot precisely pinpoint, but we think could be linked to this relatively unusual mechanism that really has not received a whole lot of study: pulsed microwave energy.
Definitive evidence of what started in Cuba remains elusive. Some link it to electronic surveillance, others a weapon. But with cases now emerging in every continent, the Biden administration has made solving this mystery a national security priority. Gordon Carrera, BBC News.